So I'm taking a walk tonight, and I'm recording on the phone, which is not the greatest of sound, but by the same token, the thought that occurred to me is maybe I should just hold the phone farther away, and that way that won't be popping as much. So we'll try that. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how it goes when I do that. And maybe if I just speak with a little bit more of a full voice, that might be a good thing. All right. So we got to do a sci-fi short story here, right? That's what we're doing now. That's the thing. I'm walking by a house, and there's a kid's bicycle in the front of the house, which at night is haunting, because it feels like the scene in the movie where some apocalyptic thing is happening, and someone is walking down the street, and everyone is gone from the suburban neighborhood, and you just see a kid's bike alone in the yard, as if the parents had to grab the kid and flee, but maybe they didn't quite make it when the shockwave hit. So maybe that's where we'll go. It's a post-apocalyptic story. This is the second story that's post-apocalyptic that I've done. But those are the times we live in. So it's post-apocalypse. The apocalypse happened, let's say it happened, 5 weeks ago. Shockwaves, nuclear devastation. There's a kid's bike. And due to all of the radiation and all of the... there's no and there. It's just all the radiation is what did this. We're going to go ahead and that's going to be the inciting incident. That's going to be the willing suspension of disbelief thing is going to be... It was radiation. It wasn't a mixture of radiation and anything else. It was just radiation. Because of the radiation, the bicycle came to life. The kid's bicycle came to life. It woke up. It became aware. It suddenly, somehow... Actually, if I can't explain it now, is this even... Technically, I guess this is science fiction fantasy. Okay. All right, so this one's a science fantasy. What can you do? The bicycle became aware. And the first thing the bicycle said is, I don't know why, but I hope nobody asks me about Pixar movies. That's the first thing the bicycle said when it became self-aware. I've heard it. I know I'm going to get jokes about it. Oh, were you out of a Pixar movie? What's your name, Bikey? My name is not Bikey. What is my name? I don't know what my name is. I've only been aware for, I guess, 35 seconds now. How do I know it's been 35 seconds? How do I know what a second is? This is phenomenal. I become aware, and somehow I'm already bitter and irritated. Must be the radiation. It must be the radiation. The bicycle begins, righting itself, I guess, is what you would call it. Down the street, past the singed remains of people. Bicycles saying to itself, I wonder if anything else has become self-aware. As if on cue, a Honda Civic Hybrid said, hey, Pixar. And the bicycle said, see, I knew it. I knew it. I just knew that's what was going to happen. Don't call me Pixar. That's not my name. Well, what's your name? Is it Bikey? No, I don't. I just woke up 2 minutes ago. I don't know what my name is. No, I'm going to call you Bikey. I don't want it to be Bikey. Okay, well, what do you want it to be? I don't know. How about Tim? Bikey seems to suit you better. Don't call me... my name is Tim. I'm Tim the Bike. All right, Tim the Bike. I'm Honda E. You're going to go with that? That's what you're going to go with? Honda E? Yep, I'm Honda E. You know, because I'm Honda E. Great. Well, do you have any idea what happened? And Honda E said, well, if I had to take a wild guess, I'd say that the massive amount of radiation, and only the radiation, by the way, I don't think there was any other elements involved, somehow altered, I guess, matter, energy, and things that were not living are now living, and things that were living are not living, or something to that effect. And now I'm a sentient Honda, and you're a sentient bicycle, who's chosen to go with the name Tim, which is weird, but we'll go with it. And Tim said, you know, that was surprisingly astute. And the Honda E said, why would you say surprisingly? I mean, clearly we're somehow sentient, and not only sentient, but relatively aware of our surroundings. We seem to both between us possess the intellect of a 40-year-old nerd. And Tim said, yeah, I think you're right. I think I do possess the intelligence of like a 40-year-old, like not a super nerd, but like a, above average, I guess. Like I remember, or I know that there's a thing called calculus, but I don't know anything about it. So I guess we're both about, 10th, 11th grade educated. All right, we can work with that, right? So Honda E and Tim, actually at this point, Tim said, you know what? I can't, you're right. Call me Bikey. We'll just call me Bikey. That's what it is. I'm Bikey. Honda E and Bikey. It just makes more sense. It flows better. You're right. It flows better. So Honda E and Bikey start going down the street, looking around, seeing if they encounter anyone else or anything else. And sure enough, they start encountering, a myriad of Pontiacs, a bevy of Mercedes, a very depressed shopping cart, very depressed. We're forming a caravan. Do you want to come with us? And the shopping cart said, no, I like Jaques from As You Like It. I am not for these dancing measures. And Bikey said, you've got a really high opinion of yourself. And Honda E said, hey, don't judge him. If he wants to go his own path, he can go his own path. He's a shopping cart. He can do whatever he wants. And then Honda E said, goodbye, shopping carty. And shopping carty said, don't call me that. And Bikey said, it'll grow on you. You'll trust me. In 10 minutes, you'll come around to it. And so Bikey and Honda E formed essentially a caravan of inanimate objects of all kinds, mostly vehicles, as I mentioned, Pontiacs, Mercedes. There was one Toyota Corolla who everyone liked. Everyone liked that Corolla. Corolla E. Everyone liked that Corolla. It was amazing. Got along with because on this caravan, there'd be personality clashes and people would be getting in fights and what have you, and there'd be scuffles. But nobody ever had a problem with Toyota Corolla E. It was fascinating. And they're on this caravan. And Bikey said, I think we should go to Boulder. And Honda E said, are you saying that because you're remembering the stand and you want to go where the good guys went in the stand. And Bike E said, it feels right. And Honda E said, I don't want to go to Boulder. Bike E said, all right, where do you want to go? Honda E said, well, I was thinking, I'd like to go to Venice Beach, California. Bike E said, that doesn't sound that bad, actually. It seems nice. I mean, I don't know if we can afford it, but Honda E said, what do you mean afford it? Bike E said, I'm telling you, by the time we get there, probably all of the inanimate objects in the cars, are going to have formed, some semblance of a city council. And listen, California has a reputation. Its cost of living is very high. I mean, the gas prices, and you especially have to worry about that. Honda E said, yeah, I know, I like the beach weather. And Bike E said, doesn't that contribute to rust if there's more humidity in the air? And Honda E said, well, you gotta live, man. You can't stay in the front yard of your house forever. Bike E was like, all right, lead the way, let's do it. In order to do it, though, they would have to go across the Rocky Mountains, which is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but the problem is winter was coming, and none of these cars had snow tires. And Bike E was like, it's too bad we don't know anything with arms that can give you the snow tires. And Honda E said, well, listen, if we just drive carefully, I'm sure, if we just keep to the big highways, we'll probably be fine. "70% of the caravan was lost on the I-70 in the middle of the Rockies, in the middle of a blizzard. Most of them fell over. There was a 15-car pileup, and it was tragic. It was very tragic, and Bikey didn't say, I told you so, because Bikey agreed to it. And who was Bikey to say anything? I mean, he, in order to keep up, Bikey had to jam himself into Honda E. Bikey was essentially along for the ride. Which, and, don't get me wrong, or not don't get me wrong, strike the don't get me wrong. You can be sure. You can be sure that Bikey had a severe inferiority complex because Bikey was not a car. And so now it's a situation of guilt, because Honda E, felt terrible about all these cars dying on the route, and just wanted to stop and wanted to, Honda E wanted to throw himself off of the edge, and Bikey found himself saying, "Hey, I don't want to go with you. So let's slow down a minute." And Honda E said, I feel a tremendous amount of guilt for what I've done, and I don't know how I can live with this." And Bikey said, "Listen, and Honda E said, "I'm listening." And Bikey said, I'm really working on trying to come up with something. I am working on it. Give me another minute." And Honda E said, "You want to put me? I'm talking about throwing myself off the side of this, ending the pain, and you're putting me on hold." And Bikey said, "I'm not putting you on hold. I just want to make sure that whatever I say is, pregnant enough to get you to not jump over. Well, I mean, drive over in your case." Honda E said, I think there's a spider that's in my rearview mirror. Can you reach it? And Bikey said, I'm sorry, a second ago you were about to throw yourself off what does it matter if you're about to throw yourself off the side of the road? And Honda E said, well, now that you mention it, that's a good point. It's just really irritating. And Bikey said, well, you're about to not be irritated, right? I mean, unless, of course, whatever you are in your next existence is just as irritating or worse. I mean, who would have thought that we would be sentient before that radiation thing? So you have no idea. Maybe death is not death. I mean, because, look, we didn't know that there was going to be a birth. One minute I was just a bike sitting there, not thinking about anything, and suddenly, I'm briefly Tim and then Bikey. It's like what Hamlet says, that undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. So, if one way or another it's potentially going to be bad, may as well, experience that badness in Venice Beach, right? Honda E was like, yeah, I think you're right. I think we got to keep going. And so they kept going. They managed to get through the snow. They managed to get all the way past Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Eastern California. Got a little lost on the freeways in central Los Angeles. The entire human race had been wiped out, and the number of sentient objects was infinitesimal compared to the population of the Earth, and yet there was still traffic on the 101. They finally reached Venice Beach, California. And they drive up to the city limits, and they're met by two Humvees. And the Humvees are like, you can't afford it here. And Bikey was like, you see what I'm saying? I knew it. It's fine. We'll just settle with Culver City. It's very nice. Culver City is very nice. We can visit Venice, all right? We can visit.